If you're a producer and you have fewer than 10,000 followers on social media, you shouldn't even be charging for beats, because who are you? You're a nobody. And as a matter of fact, if you do charge for beats, let's say you have 10,000 followers, you shouldn't get any royalties from these artists unless you're investing all your money into the marketing, unless you're helping promote the project, unless you're managing the project, unless you're paying for the graphic design, unless you're recording, mixing, and mastering. Otherwise, you don't deserve anything. Because what did you really do? All you did was make half the song. On a scale of 1 to, how stupid does that sound? Pretty stupid. But this is a mentality that is floating around the internet. I didn't come up with that 10,000 follower rule myself. That is a comment that I'm about to show you. But I think even more insidious than that, because that's obviously just foolishness, right? What I run into often, and this is just kind of a belief shared by a lot of recording artists, so I hope rappers are watching this because this is important. They don't want to give royalties. And when I mean royalties, I don't mean anything they got to pay out of pocket for. I'm talking about songwriter splits on the PRO end. They don't want to give those to their producers, the people who make their beats, because they feel like that producer is being paid twice, which obviously is not the case. These systems of royalties are the least that the music business could do for us, as exploitative as it has been since it began. Here's an example. I got this comment the other day, and I think this comes from a place of inexperience. Normally, the artists that have this mentality aren't people that are actually even affiliated with a PRO, let alone getting checks quarterly from their PROs. So if you're a producer and you're dealing with an artist like this, or if you're an artist, listen up, this is part of the dialogue. If you are making a song, you're releasing it, you're making the decisions, you're making the executive decisions, you're the one that's creating the marketing plan, you're the one that's playing the shows, you're the one that is doing all of this stuff. The producer really has no input in. Say you buy an exclusive beat for $300. The marketing you're paying for will likely be more than that. Probably double that. Actually, don't pay $600 for marketing and think that it's going to get you anywhere. I always encourage all the artists that I work with not to pay for marketing unless the song is already blowing up. And if they do end up paying for marketing, make it very direct, as in Google ads, Meta ads, something where there is no intermediary, no middleman to take your money from you, because most of these promo companies are scams. But I digress. Asking a producer to pay for that makes no sense. You may as well ask the radio promoter that you're paying to help promote the song to help pay for the beat. What's the difference? It doesn't add up. So if I'm a producer and you're like, you got to put some money down on the marketing plan. What marketing plan? I didn't choose the marketing plan. That's not how this works. By all means, recoup your money first on the distributor side, on the sound recording copyright side, before you pay me a cent out of those royalties. I'm cool with that. That's how the labels work. It's the recoupment system. Do that. But if for some reason you're asking me as a producer to plan the marketing or do some marketing myself, realistically, most producers have no idea and no business doing marketing. We're not qualified. We're not effective marketers. Even me, who knows how to market my beats, you think if I could market songs effectively, I wouldn't be doing that left and right and creating hit singles. I only have 2 hit singles to my name. You think I don't want more? All I'm saying is we make beats. So if you need a beat, if you need production, if you need mixing, mastering, whatever, work with a producer who provides that. And when we provide that to you, we've provided what you paid for. There are experts that can help with other things, other elements, the graphics, the video, the marketing, the terrestrial radio campaigns, all of that. As a rapper, if you walk up to a venue where you're getting paid for the same amount, $300 to perform a short set, do you expect the promoter to say, hey, can you help pay for security and manage the whole security protocol and like design the flyer too? No, because that's weird. That's very weird. So to review, this is what I think artists should do, and this is what producers I think should propose to artists when they find themselves in these kinds of conversations. Number 1, just recoup the beat cost. It's that simple. Recoup the cost of the beat directly from the sound recording royalties, which are paid directly through the distributor. DistroKid, TuneCore, whoever, that money that's coming in through them, unless you're signed up through TuneCore as a publishing admin, the money that's coming directly from the distributor is the sound recording royalty, and this is how the music business operates. You recoup those costs. The labels do that too. They spend $1 million on your project, they're recouping that $1 million against your sound recording costs. If you don't recoup the cost, nobody wins. If you do recoup the cost, everyone wins. But if the song explodes, the artist, the recording artist, wins the most because they get the show money, they get the endorsements, they get the deals, they get the bulk of the royalties. And that initial money that you paid for that beat has already recouped. Has this happened to me? Absolutely. One of my hit songs was a $300 beat. Just telling you flat out. That's what it was. So rather than react poorly when an artist, because it's insulting to us as producers when a rapper or a singer tries to buy a beat from us and tries to tell us that we don't deserve the back end, whatever it is. We get into these unfortunate dialogues, and a lot of it's miscommunication, misunderstandings, people with not very much experience, just kind of speaking in a way because they think that everyone in the industry is out to get them, so they have to be extra aggressive. When you find yourself in that situation, don't take it personally. This is a business. We can have these conversations and explain this stuff, but it's on us, mostly the producers, to know the business enough to be able to have these conversations. But obviously, if you're an artist and you're watching this, you should know the business too, because we're all in the business. And I love working with recording artists that understand the business as well as I do, because then we can cut through all the BS from the very beginning and get right to what we need to get to. But back to that follower count thing, because that's just crazy. And I actually have an interesting example of why this really doesn't matter. And chasing follower counts, especially for producers, is really just not worth it. Unless you're a content creator or something and your goal is to be an influencer. If you're just trying to make beats, that follower count is an artificial metric. It doesn't really, especially now in 2026, it doesn't mean anything. I had a couple videos with Diego Torres when we're talking about subscriber count for YouTube. Look how many subscribers I get. Doesn't mean anything. Instagram followers, you could have 100,000 Instagram followers right now and still get 500 likes on every post. And you could have 500 followers on Instagram right now and get 100,000 likes on a post. The algorithms are all twisted and messed up. Let me explain what I mean with some real examples. But let's jump back to the original post where a rapper claims that producers who have fewer than 10,000 followers should not be charging that much for beats. As a matter of fact, they should basically be giving their exclusives away. How do I find this shit?
Well, I'm bringing it into a dark space, so I think this is dark. Let me know what you think, Dame. A beat produced, and I can't knowledge in. I don't know how to pronounce the guy's name. I don't know who he is. But he says a beat producer with less than a 10,000 audience behind them probably shouldn't be charging crazy prices for exclusives. I mean, I agree that producers shouldn't be charging crazy prices for exclusives, but he's saying you should charge more like 50. I don't care how good the quality is. If there's no reach, no motion, no brand, and no audience attached, why is the exclusive 500? So crazy to him is 500.
My first reaction is, why are you worried about what other people? I mean, yeah, you can have your opinion on where people should be selling stuff. I mean, I've had my opinion too, but I don't. If I say something, if I express my opinion, like, I really don't care to engage. That's just my opinion. So 500 is not crazy. Like, if it's really dope, I mean, a beat is worth what somebody's willing to pay, right? And that's pretty much any product. So if you can get somebody to pay $500, it don't matter how big your audience is, right? You can not be on social media. You can have 20 followers. It doesn't matter. You have to find that pocket that makes sense for you. If you're getting people to consistently pay 500, then that means you're probably charging too little, right?
Yep.
So I think pricing, you want to look at what other people are doing in your lane, but it's such a specific thing to what you're doing and how you want to build your brand. So, and then also pricing kind of determines like the perception of you, right? So you're thinking about a lot of things when you're determining pricing, but ultimately, like I said, something's worth what people are willing to pay. And if you can get people to pay 500, if your stuff is that amazing, no matter how many followers you have, keep doing it.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of psychology behind it. What I find frustrating about this post, and it's kind of hilarious, I sell beats all the time and I work with unsigned artists more often than not. And I'm caught between the unsigned artists who think like this guy, who feel like there's no value in a beat unless there's some kind of social currency or clout attached to it. And then there are the people who base their prices entirely on their own budgets. So it's, to put it frankly, I'm a 6-time platinum producer, right? I have a couple of recent
Flex
hits.
on them, Pay. Flex on them. 6-time platinum producer.
And it's not from, work I did 20 years ago. It's from the recent, last 5 years. And so working with a lot of artists, I often get the appreciation that I keep my prices affordable for unsigned artists, but I also get a ton of pushback from artists who will, I think probably an equal amount, who are just constantly looking for a cheaper price. They don't give a fuck what my resume says. Oh, right. You're a 6 times platinum producer. Cool. Give me an exclusive beat for $50. I can't afford it anymore. Give me an exclusive beat for $150. Give me 3 beats for $300. Like, where do you come up with this? Because I'm always covering these stories of producers charging, $500,000 for beats. And I'm like, did that really happen? And then I got someone in my inbox time go, why are your beats so much? And then I go on Threads and this guy's saying, you should charge $500. It's ridiculous. But there's also this notion from a lot of artists, and I think it's artists who are not doing well and who don't really have much faith in themselves, who believe that, and maybe that's what describes this guy, that's he has an AI image as his profile pic that kind of hints something about how people value art. But they believe that if they're paying for a beat, they don't want to just get a beat. They want to get all this extra unnamed stuff. And I don't know if you've witnessed that, Dame, but I get it all the time where someone buys a beat and then they complain that the producer didn't invest in the marketing, or they complain that the producer didn't, try to help them get a deal, or, something. I'm like, this doesn't happen with any other role in the music business. You don't get a song mixed by an engineer for, $100, $200, $300, and then go on social media and be like, this engineer didn't get me a feature. This engineer didn't get me on MTV. This engineer didn't get me on radio. This engineer didn't put any money up. None of that makes sense. But somehow that's the narrative with producers. And it's like, a producer's goal is, their job is to produce. If a producer produces, they've done their job. They've given you what you paid for. And realistically, can the average artist even name all the producers or engineers on their face of all that? And I do miss the days when producers could just be producers and engineers could just be engineers and managers could just be managers. And I'm sure you do too, Dame.
Well, no, I've never seen somebody like seriously want more from a producer than just the production.
Yeah, you work with these reasonable.
No, definitely not reasonable. I wouldn't call it. I just feel like there's a certain, like, once you get past a certain tier in your artistry, like, you still work with a wide range of artists, right? Like, you're working with platinum artists, and then you're selling beats probably to somebody that, is making their song for the first time. So I would imagine that, like, these type of conversations are more from the crowd that is earlier in their career, not successful yet, like, don't really understand the business, because that would never come from somebody that, is established, right? Like, you're not talking about established artists coming back and expecting.
No, that's what I said. It's people who aren't doing well, and it's people who are struggling. Right. So they're trying to get as much as possible. But, it's also probably psychological where, a lot of artists and producers and anyone that's not doing well in music, they love to create obstacles for themselves so that they can, it's like pre-planning their excuses for failure,
right.
you see all these people, they're tweeting, I'm a different type of producer. I don't sound like everyone else. That's why they don't fuck with me. And you listen to their beats, like, yeah, they sound like everyone else. You just don't do a very good job selling those beats. And so you want to make it seem like there's some force that's against you. Or artists the same way. The industry won't mess with me because I'm too real. The industry doesn't mess with real lyrics. And I'm like, you rhymed tree with free. What are you talking about? Yeah. You're just not doing a good job at your career. That's what it comes down to. But to close this out, this is something that I find interesting, and this happens all the time, especially given the fact that virtually everybody I know is on the new Drake album. Seriously, like all the producers I know except me are on the Drake album. If I were to go on all of their social media and count how many followers or how many subscribers they have versus me, I'm probably going to beat out most of them. Not like Boy Wonder 40, but a lot of the other folks. Here's a better example. I'll say a name. One of the most influential producers I've ever studied is a guy named Happy Perez, right? So, and a lot of people don't know who he is. Won a bunch of Grammys, has a bunch of hits, probably diamond. He's incredibly successful. Financially, he's worth 10 times what I am. And guess what? I have over 3 times the Instagram followers as he does. So going back to this post, this guy is full of shit. It's a very childish way of looking at things, because followers do not translate to success, especially as a producer. A lot of the great producers, the most talented and the most wealthy producers, are not prioritizing social media vanity metrics, because why would they? If you're working with the top talent in the industry, do you care that you only have 30,000 Instagram followers? No. There is a legendary artist that gave his inaugural interview on this platform who has very few followers. He's still getting $500,000 publishing checks every quarter. It's a weird conversation, but I think a lot of people play into it when these conversations come out. So if the person who posted that is just rage baiting, then round of applause, because that was pretty good. If they're serious, they need to grow up.